Willie and Jimbo are waiting in town for Lloyd today. They were supposed to have some lunch together. Jimbo was getting nervous and pacing around.
What are you still so nervous about, Jimbo?
Willie asked him. Well, finally, where would you be? Jimbo exclaimed as Lloyd came up behind them. Lloyd replied that he was just having some trouble, so they all headed over to Tom. I have this food for you, but it's a little bit expensive. Jimbo couldn't believe his eyes as he looked at the price. Tom then showed them another meal, which was a lot cheaper. Okay, I agree with that, Jimbo said.
What a cut,
said Lloyd quietly. Jimbo gave him a mean look. So they had to go gather some more herbs so Tom could start cooking this meal. But this wasn't the only thing the cook needed. Now we have to find those apples, Jimbo called to the boys. So they walked around the forest looking into the treetops, but it was hopeless.
Oh, we'll never find them,
Willie worried. Jimbo calmed him down.
Look over there,
Lloyd started to wave. He quickly ran to the tree but stopped just short of it.
I mustn't go near the tree again,
he thought. Jimbo was already running towards them with some sticks. But it was so big that when he ran, he didn't notice Willie and knocked him to the ground.
Ow, ow! Jimbo, be a little careful,
Willie complained. Jimbo apologized and started to knock the apples down. As he turned with the wood, he hit Lloyd and he too fell.
Ouch!
Lloyd stood up on the ground, ready to address Jimbo, but he reached out and hit him again.
This can't be happening,
Lloyd wailed. He sat up, he looked at Jimbo and an apple fell on his head. What are you doing on the ground, Lloyd? I wish you'd help me, and Willie, I wouldn't expect you to do that, Jimbo uttered. He picked up the apple, put it in his pocket, and they were ready to go into town to get some food from their favorite chef. All right then, this is the cheapest meal I can make. As the boys ate it, they didn't like it much.
This wasn't such a good idea, buddy,
Lloyd complained. Jimbo didn't like it much either. Chef Tom gave them a ticket. These are the other things he needs the boys to do for him. The boys went into town to play. I feel kind of weird, Jimbo said. He became dizzy and fell down. Lloyd became paranoid and started running past the boys.
Help! Help! Help!
He screamed as he ran. Willie didn't understand them at all. Jimbo would be hypnotized by one house. This mustn't be the house we're looking for, he said in confusion. He walked towards the house. Willie called something to him, but Jimbo couldn't hear him at all. Jimbo looked at the basket of gold that was by the house. There was a note on it. For the Greenfield boys, he read aloud. When he started to reach for it, Lloyd pushed him away. Jimbo fell far from the basket, and Lloyd picked it up.
I won!
He laughed as he ran on. I'm not giving you that, Jimbo thought, and he ran after him, but he was too dizzy to take 3 steps and was falling to the ground. Oops, Willie, catch him! But Willie fell asleep. He was asleep by the river in town. Jimbo got up. It was a little hard for him. So where is he? He was looking thoroughly into the woods. Chef Tom watched them from a distance. This is very interesting behavior. I think I'll stop sending this food abroad, he thought to himself. Jimbo finally went off on his own to find Lloyd. After a while, he saw him in the distance sitting by a stream. Jimbo didn't understand what he was saying, and when he walked up to him, he understood it was fake gold. Well, that's pretty stupid, he thought to himself. Suddenly, something passed in the distance. It wasn't No, it sure wasn't. The boys were looking at the route of the place. It seemed a monster had passed through. This is a strange situation. We chased him out of town a long time ago, Jimbo said. Lloyd looked pretty scared. Suddenly, a sound came from the gold. Jimbo and Lloyd were both startled. They ran away from it and hid behind a tree.
Throw it away, said Lloyd fearfully. After all, it was you who pulled it out anyway, he added.
Yes, but you ran away with it, the boys argued. Jimbo decided that they should both throw it away at the same time. Lloyd walked very carefully, hiding behind Jimbo. As soon as they got close enough, Lloyd tried to run away again, but Jimbo caught him and stopped him. Eventually, Jimbo took it in his hands and threw it into the nearest river. And our worries are over, Jimbo thought. He was proud of how brave he was with this thing. But as they were leaving, the basket washed ashore again, and they threw a new leaf in it.
Jimbo, go look at it again,
Lloyd worried. Jimbo went. You shouldn't have done that, the note read. Suddenly there was a clap of thunder. Now that's really weird to be thundering during the day, Jimbo thought to himself, but when he looked up from his paper, all he saw was Lloyd's back. You're such a coward, he shouted at him, but he was kind of scared himself. He ran after Lloyd. Wait for me! When they got back to town, Willie was no longer there. They were both looking for him and calling out to him. Hello?
Where are you, Willie?
But there was no answer. We'll have to go find Timmy, Jimbo said to himself. Into this, Tom the cook came to them. I've got the ingredients for my most expensive meal, he said. Jimbo didn't have the time for that right now. He went looking for a policeman. After a while of watching, they found him at the station. Timmy was watching the boxes of food.
I think, boys, that's not supposed to be here,
and pointed to the food from Tom. Jimbo was angry with him again, but let it go. It doesn't matter now. Willie's lost, he replied. Well, maybe, buddy, we saw... Lloyd started to add, but Jimbo stopped him. Timmy didn't ask any questions, and he started asking questions like,
where did you last see him? What was he doing? I wouldn't have that kind of food from that suspicious cook.
Timmy ended the conversation, and he went into town looking for clues. Jimbo's head was spinning again. He wanted to take a nap for a while, but Lloyd woke him up.
Hey, buddy, wake up!
Lloyd began to shout. Jimbo got up. I'll give you one, he thought. He ran after him and tried to jump on him, but Lloyd was always fast enough. He jumped him, and Jimbo didn't let up. He ran after him again.
Jimbo, stop it!
Lloyd laughed as the two of them ran through town. After a while, they both did indeed come across evidence that he was back. They stopped and watched from behind the house. Skibidi. Skibidi was sneaking around the houses in town. He drove away from town. When Timmy came in, they tried to explain to him.
He's back! He's back!
Lloyd began. Timmy asked what had happened to them, and if they were crazy.
Skibidi! Skibidi's back and he's in this town,
Jimbo added. Timmy explained clearly that they had already worked this out together and chased him away a long time ago.
So I don't know what you two are still having trouble with.
Timmy angrily walked away from them. Jimbo and Lloyd were left alone in town. We need to prove them right, you and me, Jimbo decided. And he walked in the direction of where he'd last seen the monster. Lloyd didn't like this, but Jimbo was on his way.
Wait for me,
he called to him, and together they walked into the woods. They walked side by side, and Jimbo thought, the last time we threw him into the swamp, he must be out there somewhere. Lloyd spoke as if reading his mind.
You think he's got a refuge in that swamp?
Jimbo couldn't answer him. They were already at the swamp. Jimbo went to get a stick and started poking in the water, but he couldn't feel anything. This is a strange one. I bet there must be something in there, Jimbo thought to himself.
What are you thinking, buddy?
Lloyd asked, lying down on the ground.
I feel weird somehow.
And he fell asleep. Hey, Lloyd, get up! Jimbo yelled at him, but Lloyd was still asleep. So Willie and Lloyd are sleeping. That's really amazing, thought Jimbo. He immediately ran into town to get help, but there was no one in town, not even Tom the cook at his food stand. Okay, this is getting a little creepy, he thought. He got to the place at the train station where he'd seen Timmy before, but he wasn't here either, and the boxes of food were gone. I'm sure Timmy picked them up and went to hide them somewhere. Jimbo calmed down. He didn't think anything terrible had happened. The moment he said that to himself, he heard footsteps coming towards him. Jimbo was so scared of everything that he jumped away behind the tracks, and he watched, but nothing. He walked towards the station building.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Jimbo got scared and turned around, ready to at least try to attack, but that's when he saw who it was. Hello, Alice, he greeted her.
What are you so afraid of?
She asked him. Jimbo quickly explained to her about Willie and Lloyd in the skibidi. He explained everything to her, so Ellis decided to help him, and together they went into the swamp forest. Lloyd was still lying there. Thank God, Jimbo exclaimed. We have to wake him up, but how? Jimbo wondered.
Let's take him to town somehow,
Ellis uttered. But Jimbo didn't want to drag him along. He started calling to him. Hey, get up! Hey, come on! He shouted at him. He even kicked him a couple of times, but Ellis didn't like that. But it worked on Lloyd.
What's going on?
He said wearily. Jimbo explained that he had fallen asleep and that he had to find Willie. They went to their house, and there they saw Willie sitting on their patio. Jimbo went over to him. Where have you been all this time? He asked him. But Willie didn't remember anything, only that he had eaten some food from Tom.
Yeah, that's what we ate, and it was pretty nasty,
he added. We need to go fix our appetite, Jimbo thought. Let's go to Tom's, Jimbo declared. They all went into town. Tom stood there normally. Jimbo, I called for you. Tom said he was there, but Jimbo didn't see him at all. Lloyd was very shocked.
Buddy, we'll never skimp on food again,
Lloyd decided. Suddenly, Timmy showed up.
Jimbo, I've been looking all over for you all day. I know where he is.
He was about to say he found Willie, but stopped when he saw Willie.
Anyway, I've been beaten again,
he thought to himself. Now they're all having the most expensive meal Tom's ever cooked. It costed all that gold, but what they found, it was fake. Yes, Willie, but Tom doesn't need to know about that, Jimbo whispered. They were all leaving now. Lloyd and Jimbo were still talking about the skibidi. After all, he hadn't been anywhere the whole time. Then they all scattered to their houses. And in the middle of the town, the skibidi drove by once more and left a note on Willie and Jimbo's terrace. He was looking forward to the next meeting and the donkey in the swamp forest.